Most real estate agents can't grow their business because they don't understand two things. Either one, how to get high quality leads so that they can actually grow and get more clients, or two, they understand that, but they don't have a way to afford to get those high quality leads. And that is what is constraining their business. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do both, how to get high quality leads for free indefinitely and on autopilot after you build up this process that I'm going to show you using what's called a self-liquidating offer. So let's jump into it. And if you don't know me, my name's Jarvis. I help hundreds of real estate agents across the country over the past 5 years. We run Jarvis Media Consolidated, and we've gotten some results like this here below that are pretty cool. So check us out if you're interested, but let's jump into this video. So how can we do what's called a self-liquidating offer, which is going to allow us to get leads automatically for free? Now, the automatic part is once you've set it up. So just keep in mind there that there does take some effort in the beginning here. It's not like you just flip a switch and then suddenly everything's magic here, but it is something that can run without your need. Basically, think about it like a rental, right? It takes a little bit of work in the upstart in the beginning, but then it can run pretty much 90-ish% without your assistance once you get it set up properly. And of course, this is a way to grow your business for free, which is amazing. So first and foremost, what is a self-liquidating offer? Well, this is essentially a high value, low cost offer to your target audience that liquidates your lead gen. And when we say liquidates, what we actually mean, well, that is not how you spell liquidates, but basically what that essentially makes your audience liquid is it basically allows you to get all those leads in a way that doesn't cost any additional money out of pocket. Now, this does start initially with needing to put in a little bit of money, which I'm going to explain how to do that. But then, of course, you recoup that cost if you're doing this appropriately, and I'm going to walk through exactly how to do that. If I can spell liquidates, it's right up, literally, I've already wrote it right above me. Liquidates your lead gen. So here is how we basically do this. So what we need to do is we need to have something that is going to be, again, low cost and high value. That's really important for two reasons. Low cost, because we don't really have what's called like an elaborate sales funnel here, right? Because it's going to be a simple sales funnel. And essentially, this is basically why, you know, you need more hand holding when it comes to like buying a car or buying a house than it does you do for buying like a t-shirt online, right? Well, that's exactly the same reason why, because it's a simpler purchase. It doesn't really take most people a lot of like, oh my God, can I afford this to be able to see the value there? So it needs to be low cost, but it also needs to be high value for two reasons. One, if it's high value, then it's going to also just increase the amount of sales, you know, because it's low cost and it's high value. But two, it's also going to start the customer or the client journey with you on the right foot. So we don't want to give an offer that, let's say, sells for like 10 or 20 or 30 or, you know, $50 or whatever, and then also have basically everyone get that thing and then say like, oh, this is terrible, I hate this, right? Because then the goal after that is to work those leads to then become your clients. So if we basically have a really terrible, you know, self-liquidating offer, then what's going to end up happening is that people are going to say, oh, this agent's terrible, like their $10 thing is terrible, like I'm assuming that their, you know, working with them is going to be terrible, right? We need it to be high value, not only because that's going to increase the sales, but also because, of course, that's going to make it so that people have a really great understanding of us and our brand, and they kind of jump off on the right foot with us because we've given them so much value for such a cheap thing. And ultimately, that is going to be a great way to start our relationship, because of course, these clients need to have a great relationship with you to want to work with you to buy or sell their home. So that's what a self-liquidating offer is. Now, how do we use a self-liquidating offer? Well, there's a couple different options. So My favorite option here, because I want this to be on autopilot, because at the end of the day, you don't want to make a self-liquidating offer too much stress so that it takes up all this time that you could be using working your leads, right? Because if you're getting leads and they're not costing you anything, but you don't have any time to then work those leads, then that doesn't help us any, right? So what we need to be able to do is find an efficient system that works for us in the background. Now, this is why I really like the idea of using meta ads. Now, if you're not familiar with meta ads, I have a lot of videos about how to walk through them. But essentially, what we want to do here is we want to build out an ad strategy that allows us to get those high quality leads, again, on autopilot, in a way that's going to make sense and actually grow our business. So what's going to be really great about this is that obviously, like, and a lot of different ads can do that. I'm partial to meta ads because I think that you can get better results for cheaper if you know what you're doing. Now, inbound leads, that's not really what this is for, because inbound leads would be people looking to actually work with you to buy or sell a home. So what meta ads allow us to do is what's called disruptive marketing, right? So this is disrupting somebody's actual journey. Like, so if they're on Facebook or Instagram, seeing what their friends and family are up to, and then our ad comes up, which disrupts their experience, right? Think about like a TV ad from, like, back when, you watched cable, right? I don't know who watched cable anymore, but that's what the whole idea was. It disrupted your experience. Now, that's fine as long as we do it in a good way. That's why bad ads that are disruptive and have no value perform really poorly on Meta. And what's nice is that unlike TV ads, Meta has a system based off of an auction system that basically allows for better ads to get better results for a cheaper price, which is why creative is so important in making sure that the content of our ad and the offer needs to be very good and dialed in. So to do this, we need to obviously build out a system in meta ads. This is going to allow us to, target the avatar that we're looking for, provide at least most of the funnel, and then ultimately deliver. Well, actually, let me take a step back here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Um, so we want this to provide most of the funnel, and then of course I'll say give us the lead. So that is what's going to be really, really important for Meta to accomplish. And then what we are going to need is some sort of a CRM tool. I have my recommendations, which I'm going to give you. And this is going to be to basically pick up the customer journey. That is what's going to actually end up delivering. So I'm going to put in here basically funnel, because that's basically, it's going to close out the funnel. Delivering the offer. And then, of course, nurture the lead. Now, what's really cool about this is you can really customize this whole thing based off what kind of offer you want to provide. There's actually probably a lot of ways that you can just use meta ads without actually having to worry about a CRM. But I highly recommend having the CRM because you really want to have that anyway to be nurturing these leads appropriately. You don't want to be getting a bunch of leads inconsistently and then be trying to reach out to them manually and get behind and all that stuff. It's very difficult to do. So because of that, you are likely going to want the CRM focus. But again, it's going to really depend how much you need the CRM based off of what your offer is. So this is kind of our framework, right? So we want to use meta ads to get in front of the right kind of an audience, send them over to our CRM to pick up the, on that funnel and deliver the offer and then nurture the lead there, right? So what this is going to look like is essentially, making sure our offer is perfect and then building out a framework for delivering that. Now, here's what's really important. So your offer has the most leverage out of this whole system because it's the thing that you have to do first, right? You can't start an ad without having anything to sell. So what we need to understand is what kind of offer makes the most sense. Now, there are a lot of different ideas you can do here. A couple of ideas that I kind of like are, either some kind of like a, digital deliverable pack, right? Something that might deliver like some kind of information that can be like a PDF or a printout or something like that. Some kind of like a readiness, like, oh, is your home actually ready to sell? And here's like a, printout with like an interactive quiz, maybe even that can be built into your CRM, depending on your CRM's capabilities. Maybe some pre-qualification forms. Maybe you can work with a lender to kind of get an idea of the kind of information that they need to make sure somebody can be pre-qualified so that this person can get this, which can be in the early stages before they're ready to work with an agent or before they think that they're ready to work with an agent. A relocation starter kit where basically you take people from outside the market and you give them information that's going to be crucial for this market that might be specific to what they're looking for, which can be great. Might be a little bit harder on the targeting, but ultimately it can be something that can work pretty well. You can do a mini course on a lot of different things, on how to buy your first home, on how to buy like a short-term rental, on how to basically buy your house or buy or sell without a real estate agent needed. That's a really cool offer as well. There's a lot of different things that you can do here. A for sale by owner rescue kit, something which basically like if somebody is a for sale by owner and you want to reach out to them and basically give them the tools that they need to actually, if they've kind of gotten themselves into a mess, you can kind of save them. But honestly, my favorite is really the mini course to some degree. Now you can actually even make this like an actual in-person coaching thing. You can definitely do that as well, or it can be like a secondary step. You can have a mini course to start off with, and then it leads into kind of coaching, which is great for multiple reasons. One, it's just more, better service. Like it's just more helpful to actually be there with a professional, of course. But then also too, 80% of people work with the first real estate agent that they speak with. So if you have a way that naturally gets people from a stranger to chatting with you in a way that feels beneficial to them, then that's a great way to get more people to actually chat with you, and the chances of you converting that person, even if initially they came in the pipeline to, buy or sell without a real estate agent, that essentially is a really great way to get in front of people and to build a relationship that usually ends up turning into the most business. Because at the end of the day, if we just need to get on the phone with people or have a great conversation with people and 80% of them are going to convert and work with us, then that's a great situation. So let's say we're going to build this out for the mini course, because that is my favorite one here. And we're going to basically talk about, let's say, how to sell for more without spending more. Or something along those lines, right? So I kind of like this because people want to make sure that they sell their home for as much money as possible. And then you can emphasize that like, hey, this is a way to sell for more without spending more, or without spending an arm and a leg, right? You can kind of customize that, right? So let's just say for this example, let's do a 3-part video series course on low cost but high ROI improvements. So this can even be like stuff like, oh, like paint. Here's the right kind of paint to get. Do we want to get like matte, or do we want to get like semi-gloss, or like what do we want to get, right? What kind of colors work really well for this market, right? Maybe landscaping. Like here's what you can do yourself. Like here's how to like maximize this kind of thing. Here's how to like put in just like a little bit of foliage, or how to clean stuff up, or put down maybe a little bit of mulch even. That can really make a huge difference. And then let's say even like, lighting. which obviously plays a huge role and can make a big difference and can be very, very cheap to do. So like here's basically how you can like break down all of that kind of stuff, right? So this, it might even be like, the first one would be like some of the biggest improvements, basically like how to like DIY that, like what that process looks like, slash like where to get like, the best deals. And then maybe like the last one is like, putting it all together with a strategy. And then even, what's really cool is you can put into here a call to action. So basically what we like here is like a 3-part video series where like basically in the beginning, you're going to be talking about like, let's say the biggest things, the difference that they make basically. And then the second video maybe is how to DIY, so like how to actually do these things. And then like, how to purchase those. I mean, actually purchasing would be first and then DIY would be second. But like, where to find these things for the best deals, like maybe the best products that you recommend that would be cheap, but still really high value. And then ultimately, some kind of a strategy for like, how to get this done maybe in a time efficient manner, what kind of stuff maybe makes sense to actually get a professional to do this for you, how to do it yourself, and then a call to action, which can basically get them back into your funnel, but once they're now a really, really warm lead, which is awesome. So that could be really fantastic here. You can also even include, just to kind of increase the value here, a before you list checklist, and then a case study of past sales. So what's really cool is that inside of this actual offer here, which is the mini course, we want to, first and foremost, we want to provide a lot of value, right? And it needs to be something that is going to be kind of hands-off. Like we build it once so we can deliver it forever, which is great because as an expert in your field, you have the ability to do that. So we want to build this out, make sure that's high value. It's really, really great for the cost. And then also, we give them a little bit more like a, before you list checklist, something that just feels a little bit like, okay, cool, like I have something tangible here that's going to be able to help me. And then what you can also do with this strategy section, as well as this case study section, is you can also warm the lead, which is really, really cool. So this will allow you to also just take the current lead and get them even more ready to ultimately work with you when they're at that stage. So what's nice is that this offer not only is going to self-liquidate the funnel and kind of make it so that you're paying basically zero on your leads, but then on top of that, what you can also do is that you can end up finding a point where you're basically also getting leads in the system and they're getting warmed up to you. On top of the fact that, especially if you're doing a video, which is why I like this offer so much, they're going to be seeing a lot more time of you, which builds up that know, like, and trust, right? You have the opportunity to showcase yourself as an expert, sprinkle in those case studies and like the past like benefits that you've had in your market, helping people who have the exact same problem that they have. And it just makes it much more likely that they're going to know, like, and trust you over another agent. So if they are ready to list, of course, that you are the natural choice for them to go to because they literally followed your system to get to the stage that they're in now. So it's really great on multiple fronts. So let's say that's kind of like our outline for our offer here. Okay, well, that looks great. So now we need to talk about delivery. Well, what we can do is a really, really simple, system where we're building this out inside of, let's say, High Level, for instance. So Go High Level is my CRM of choice. I like it a lot. A lot of CRMs can do a similar thing, but I like it for multiple reasons, which I'll kind of show you why. But what you can do is build out this system and then ultimately have your ads, of course, sprinkling people into that and then delivering that for you. So here's what I would really recommend here. I would highly recommend that what we do is we use meta ads, which are going to be lead form ads. This can be traffic here. Yeah, change that up. But traffic is a little questionable, and I'll explain why. But so we want to do lead form ads, which are going to lead into an actual system for a VSL to actually sell the thing. We're going to have our purchase. are, thank you. Sorry, I get distracted whenever it corrects my handwriting, but I'm sure it's ending up being much better for you. And then we want, basically the course page. And then, of course, it needs to also deliver into our, you know, our CRM as a lead, right? That's obviously important. And probably additionally, some sort of a funnel here. And then ultimately, basically, so the customer journey here is that they come into the they come to the lead form ads, they like the offer, they go to the VSL, they're sold on it, they purchase. Then it goes to a thank you page, which tells them the next steps. They become a lead in your CRM. They go to the course page to kind of get started. And then they actually have, their journey. They hopefully complete the course, and it's amazing, and they have a great experience. Meanwhile, this funnel is making sure that they do complete this journey, and then eventually they come down here to being, basically a, finished. And then you can have, essentially, another funnel for nurturing them to become a client. And that's basically the overall system that we want to build out here. So what this is going to end up doing, though, is that it's going to allow us to get leads who are coming in, and ideally we need to get the ratio for the basically with the cost per lead, the CTA, right? So this is like kind of the magic formula here. So the magic formula to make this work, excuse me, is CAC equals gross revenue. And now this is not the gross revenue or the CAC for your actual like client, like your buyer or seller, but this is ultimately for your lead who's basically purchasing this mini course. Now, because the course is so aligned with what we provide as a real estate agent, then it works out well because the avatar is the same. But at the end of the day, what we really need is we need that this CAC, so the cost to acquire a customer, equals basically what we're going to make from it. And that would make our lead generation free, because then we still get that lead to then work on the back end to then ultimately become a customer, or, or a client, really. So what this means is basically if it costs us $50 to get a lead to actually end up finally buying this mini course, then we need to make sure that the mini course is priced at $50. So this does take a little bit of experimentation. You have to find that right balance there. What I recommend, and what's so nice about this, is that if, let's say, you provide a mini course, right, and you're trying to sell it and you get a bunch of leads, and like, let's say it's selling for maybe half of gross revenue, right? Maybe the cost to acquire a customer is let's say in this case, it's $50. It still takes $50 to acquire a customer, but that's at a price point of $25 for the actual mini course. Okay, well, hey, listen, that might not be the worst thing in the world, because basically you're getting more people and it's costing you half the price. So at the end of the day, for your business, that might actually be totally fine for you. But let's say you do actually want it to ultimately fully give you leads for free. Well, then what you need to do is you need to adjust the value of the offer so that you can get more people to buy it at that $25 or at that $50 price point, and kind of get the the gross rev up, and try to get another sale out of that, so that it actually does become $50 cost to acquire a customer and $50 gross revenue there, making your lead generation totally free here. So maybe that needs to happen. You need to make a more valuable thing. That happens. It's totally okay. That's why in the beginning you do need to test these things, and why obviously having software to make sure that you're tracking this well, which can all be found on Go High Level. By the way, we have a built out model, a white label version of this that's kind of built well for agents. Link down below if you want to try it out 14 days for free. No worries if not, but it's something that I've been using for years, and it's been super helpful for my business. So ultimately, yeah, like you need to basically find that equilibrium where your offer is valuable enough to make sure that no matter how many leads you're getting, the cost to acquire those leads is the exact same as the money you're making from those leads for this mini offer. Now, I wouldn't go anything above, honestly, like maybe $100 most. Even then, it's like it's not as like of an easy decision to make. It takes more thinking, like, oh, am I gonna drop $100 on this thing? A lot of people are in a position where they're like, hey, like, I need to have something really valuable there. So either you can make something that is so easily worth $100, or you can make it a lower price point. That's up to you. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. I mean, generally speaking, the leads who are likely to buy something that are more higher priced are going to be higher value leads, just because they're going to be less price shy. And at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to get people who are buying bigger homes and getting a bigger commission, then ultimately you're gonna have to find people with more revenue, which means $100 might be equivalent to what somebody else, as easy a decision as somebody else is having to buy something that's $25. So, at the end of the day, that's where you need to know your market. You need to test these things out. But ultimately, what you can do is find that perfect system. In the short term, at least you'll get discounted leads for sure, which is great. But then on top of that, you're also going to be able to offer this thing, which is going to allow you to get your leads ultimately for free, which makes your lead generation not a constraint of your business. And then it just comes to your following up system. So as long as you have your system built in where you're gathering the leads, let's say from Meta, you have a VSL built out so that people can then go ahead and purchase this. You have a thank you page, which is going over to your course page, and then also, of course, getting that lead who has just come in here. What's nice, by the way, too, is that your lead form is actually going to make them a lead already. So once they completed this lead form, they're actually already technically a lead of yours. And then you can actually build in here, if you need to, you might not even need to, another funnel to sell the people who haven't gone to the VSL or haven't actually purchased. You can actually build out a funnel to remind them to, like, hey, like, you were interested in this thing, here's to buy this thing, like, here's where you can go, to kind of get a higher amount of people to purchase, going to the thank you page, which then of course is triggered into your CRM, builds out another funnel for them to complete the actual journey and including the course. And then they become a lead who has finished the course, which is a very highly qualified lead for you. And then when you can build out your normal funnel, or it can just automatically go into your normal funnel that you might already have for nurturing lead generation. And that is ultimately how you can get leads for free. I'm gonna make a full detailed video walking through exactly how to do this in a little bit. It just takes more time than I have today. So be looking out for that. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe so that you can see when that video comes out and you can learn more. And hopefully this has been super helpful. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.